Turbo and 2K show.
What is up, 2K crew? Yes, it is that time of the week again. It is podcast day, and man, oh man, do we have a hell of a show planned for you guys and gals. For those of you watching live over on YouTube or over on Twitter or X, I guess we're calling it X. I still call it Twitter. But yeah, good. Thank you for joining us. Let us know that you're here. And for those of you, and while you are watching live, go ahead and give us a follow, give us a like, and hit that subscribe button and the bell so you get notified every time we go live. And for those of you, the OGs on the audio side, we appreciate you more than you know, whether we're in your ears on the treadmill or in the car. We love each and every one of you. Yes, we've got a great show. We've got Thursday Night Football up on the big screen. We've got the NLCS on the little screen. We're going to get to all that. We're going to get to all that and more. We're going to be talking Detroit sports. Detroit sports in particular, Lions, like the thumbnail said. Did they get screwed? Is there something bigger going on behind the scenes? We're going to be talking Tigers. I know since we're doing the show on Thursday, it's kind of a little bit of old news, but there is a new kind of wrinkle in here. So we're going to be talking some Tigers as well. We've got power rankings. We've got picks. We've got the college slate. We got the NFL slate. I can't wait. Let's get into it. Let's talk about some news. There's been some big news. Excuse me, both college-wise, baseball-wise. So let's just rip the Band-Aid off. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. Start with Pete Thamel over on Twitter. Source says Penn State has fired James Franklin. And unless you've been living under a rock, this isn't really news. But I've only seen this once, but there's a tweet I want to get to. I can't verify the validity of it, but in this day and age of the NIL, with a lot of sponsorship money coming in, it really wouldn't shock me. And it wouldn't shock me if this happened more than just Penn State. I think that the reason that this kind of grabbed at least my attention was that Penn State's a big job. Penn State is a big job. So what in the world am I talking about? This is from Mike J. Asti. Sources at Penn State. I have been told that Adidas drove the James Franklin firing and are why it happened today. Again, this was 4 days ago. They committed to pay most or all of the money. They also wanted a new coach before recent losses, but they made it hard for anyone at PSU to argue. Now, that's the part that kind of grabs me, 2K crew. It is. Now, the real question here is, yes, James Franklin's gone, but in this, especially this college football playoff, is it completely out of the realm of possibility for a team with 3 losses to get in? I'm going to say no. But with 2 horrible losses to where you're over 20-point favorites, that's kind of where I think we're going to have to draw the line. Now, if they were 3 close losses or 3 losses to better teams, then I think more people would be open to entertaining a 3-loss team in this playoff as it sits right now. Still have a lot of football left to go, but as it sits right now, because I mean, hell, we're going to be talking about Notre Dame USC, and this is pretty much whoever loses is kind of eliminated from the college football playoff. So is that an elimination game, especially for Notre Dame with 2 losses on the slate already? Like I said, we'll get to that game more in depth here as we go. But my real question to you, 2K crew, is James Franklin gone if Drew Aller doesn't get hurt? And do they even lose that game if Drew Aller's hurt? There's a lot of other question marks, and I think there's more to this story than kind of what we're being led on. Even though, yes, 2 horrible losses, 2 absolutely terrible losses, and well, actually, never mind. Yeah, two horrible losses in a row, 2K crew, and kind of a fall from grace that which college football fans really haven't even seen. This was the number 2 team in the country preseason, and now they're completely wiped out of the top 25, and they were last week too. So as you can imagine, with this current loss and without a quarterback and without a coach, Penn State's just Dunsky for the whole season. So I get that James Franklin has not rubbed a lot of Penn State fans right. He hasn't won the big game. He hasn't won. He's not known for winning games against the top five. But it is very hard to win in college football. There's only one Nick Saban. There's only one Kirby Smart. And to think that, and yes, James Franklin has been there for over a decade. I get that. But with all the money that they have invested in this team this season, and rightfully moving so, was it really time to move on? Me personally, I think yes. I'm just trying to raise the question. Was it justified to move on? And folks at Penn State said, yes, it was. Yes, it was. And James Franklin walks out with a pretty big check for about $50 million in his bank account for his buyout. So he's definitely not, don't worry about him making ends meet. He's got it. And some big news from today. This is from Nicole Auerbach. New contract for Indiana football coach Kurt Cignetti. He'll make $11.6 million per year. Contract runs through 2033. Now, why is this relevant, 2K Crew? Well, it's relevant because there was a lot of folks going, "Hey, Cignetti, come to Penn State. Come on, come to Penn State. We have all of this capital, all that we can offer you. Happy Valley, here it is. Penn State is definitely an upgrade over Indiana, right? Indiana, you are a basketball school. You're not a football school." Cignetti says, "Yeah, we are. We are a football school now. We are a football school now." And Cignetti has taken Indiana from basically a laughing stock of college football into the college football playoff last year. And before their big win, a lot of us, myself included, was like, I need to see a big win before I actually take Cignetti and this team seriously. And they did. And kind of going off of that, this is from Barstool Gambling, the Kurt Cignetti effect. Indiana conference record 2021 to 2023, they are 3-24. In 24 and 25, they are 11-1. Now, granted, one could argue in 2024 and 2025, they've only played really one ranked conference opponent, or at least one substantial conference opponent, and they won. Just here recently. So Cignetti is got the boys going, got the boys buzzing, and I think that's, especially coming after, on the heels of this James Franklin firing, did this give Cignetti some leverage? Absolutely. And I was going to pull a tweet from David Pollock saying that he's not saying that Cignetti isn't worth the money, but is it worth the contract length considering how fast and everything changes in college football? He's not saying that what the contract Cignetti signed was bad. It was just that these institutions, is it really relevant or smart to give a college coach more than a 3 or 5 year contract just because things change? Now, I'm firmly in the camp, like, if you have your guy, sign him for as long as you can. Don't you think Georgia would like to give Kirby Smart a lifetime contract in Georgia? No, I really don't think Kirby Smart's going to leave Georgia for anywhere else. He's sitting at the top of the mountain. He's won national titles. But for a guy like Cignetti, or even Coach Freeman at Notre Dame, as a Notre Dame fan, extend Coach Freeman for the rest of his life. I don't care. Especially the age at which Coach Freeman is. Sign him for life. Make him retire as the head football coach at Notre Dame. And I'm pretty sure that most Indiana alum and fans both would say the same thing about Cignetti. And they've done one hell of a job, taking care of at least some part of that lifetime. Let's put it that way. But I think it's huge for Indiana. I love it. If you're a Hoosier fan, you should love it too. And so with Penn State, where does that leave them? Where does that leave them in their coaching search? Well, I can say one thing: if Wisconsin doesn't get their head out of their ass, we could be seeing Luke Fickell on the move. And probably, I've been hearing a lot of people saying that actually know what's going on, that if they don't have a good showing this week, he could possibly be looking for a job elsewhere as well. And of course, Matt Rule, who has very close connections with Penn State, is kind of the likely next suitor, if you will. So just something to keep an eye on. Just something to keep an eye on. Well, let's talk some baseball news here for a little bit, 2K crew. Let's do that. As the playoffs are going, the Gold Glove finalists are rolling out, and this is from Russell Hartness. Reigning Platinum Glove winner Cal Raleigh was not nominated for a 2025 Gold Glove. This is an insult to Cal. It is an insult to the award. Can't take the Gold Glove seriously anymore. Cal ranks first in innings caught with 1,072, first in pitches caught 17,329, and first in pass balls with 0. Seems like a pretty damn good catcher to me. And I honestly think it's a shame he's not on that list either. And someone that's not on a lot of people's list is Emmanuel Clase. This is from Hector Gomez. Sources, Emmanuel Clase will never pitch it in MLB again. The gambling evidence found against him is irrefutable. Now, if you slum it on Twitter like I do for far too long, you always get the response of, well, just say it was his translator. It worked out for one guy. Now, I'm not saying that that's the case, but kind of some damning. And I would really like to, and I'm sure we will find out the actual, I don't know if they're called charges or actually what happened, what he was betting on, how he was betting. So that, again, something to keep an eye on. And this is from Underdog MLB. Padres manager Mike Schilt announces retirement. And this is once I found this tweet, there just happened to be more coming, and it looked like his welcome in the clubhouse had worn off. And he did great things with the Cardinals organization and did some really good things in San Diego. But in San Diego, never was really able to get to the World Series. If you don't get to a World Series, you can't win one. So the ultimate goal had not been reached, and the Dodgers pretty much provided the first line of defense to that. So definitely a very awesome job to have. Now we talked a couple weeks ago about the Angels being interested in Albert Pujols. Well, I also saw some interest coming from Baltimore as well. So are we going to see the machine manning the helm for any team, really? And if he does, I'm really curious to see how that looks and see who he surrounds himself staff-wise. And I'm telling you what, if you're a right-handed hitter on any team that he's coaching, I would be the first one in there and the last one to leave and asking the most questions, because we're looking at one of the best right-handed hitters in baseball history. So even if you're a lefty, it doesn't matter. The man is a hitting genius. And even if I was a vet, I'd be like, yo, Albert, come on, let's go to the cage. Just because he has that kind of effect, and just as awesome. Just as awesome. Let's get to some Detroit news here. You know, like I said, doing these on Thursday instead of Sunday, we still wouldn't have been able to talk about what happened with the Lions game, but we could have covered the Tigers a little bit better. I'm going to start off with my kind of rant, which I normally don't live tweet during games, but this was just, it seemed right. Now, if you watch that game, now granted, it went like a million innings, and Skubal had to come out at some point. I totally understand that. But this is a gentleman who I think with, I've got a couple other tweets to kind of back this up, but probably going to be your two-time AL Cy Young Award winner. The only one that could really pose any threat to that is Garrett Crochet. But pretty much everyone's leaning towards Skubal picking up his second in a row. And with all of the hype, all of the, he's our horse, he's our dog, especially when you're comparing Skubal to Crochet for this award, not only for this award, but if you compare their careers to this point right now, October 16th, 2025. This was Crochet's really second year in the league, but last year, do we really want to count that as a full season because he was with the White Sox on an innings count or a pitch count for the vast majority of this, at least the second half of the year, because he said either extend me or I'm only going 4. So would you really count that as a full season? And he goes out there and gives you 111. It was either 111, 114 pitches his last outing, and it led to a Red Sox victory. Granted, he went 7 2/3, and Chapman came in for the bottom of the 8th and then took care of the 9th. He had the audacity to tell the manager, you're only going to the bullpen once. He told Cora, you're only going to the bullpen once. I got the rest. And Skubal had either set or tied the record for strikeouts in a postseason baseball game, going 6 innings. And yes, I understand the pitch count was at 99, but there is, and yes, it is a winner go home game. But you're sitting there telling me that Skubal at 99 pitches, there's people in the bullpen that are better than him. When the other team couldn't even touch him, So I find it hard to believe that. And now you look at the next inning, the 7th inning. That's when they give up the lead. So you cannot tell me that running Skubal out there for one more inning in a winner go home, that he can't give you 15 more pitches, 20 more pitches. I don't believe that. I honestly don't believe that. Yes, he had a ton of strikeouts, but the Mariners are falling off pitches like no other. His pitch count was very high early on in the game. But when you have a horse like that, a guy that we're going to get into kind of the latest in his contract extension, is going to be upwards of $400 million. I need more than 99 pitches in a playoff elimination game, no matter what round it is. That's just me. I mean, I can't have it. With my ace, when you're an ace, you ride with me and you die with me. And there's no way in hell you can tell me that any of those guys in the bullpen are better than Skubal at 99 pitches after 6 innings. And like I said, bullpen comes in, gives up the tying run. If Skubal would have pitched 7th and pitched a scoreless 7th, Will Vest doesn't come in until the 9th, and this might be a whole different game. It's not just saying that one guy can, impact a game that much. Well, it is. It is. 3 more outs could have decided that game in the Tigers' favor and not have to go to all the 15 innings and Tommy Kahnle just throwing meatballs up there, which was basically, in my opinion, A.J. Hinch waving the white flag. Did not get that at all. And yes, I know it's the 15th inning. You've pretty much used all of your high leverage guys. I know. But in my opinion, you could have bypassed all of that and if you're a Tigers fan, you might be sitting there going, "There, well, Turbo, what if he goes out and hits the first guy up in the seventh hits a bomb? Then take him out. Then take him out. He's your ace. You ride with him and you die with him, especially in in an elimination game. I gotta have it. Especially if granted, Tigers have him under control for next year. Is he really going to be pitching for the Tigers next year? I don't know. But here's kind of what I was talking about with the back-to-back Cy Youngs. This is from Database Hit. Tarek Skubal won the Cy Young in 2024 and then got better back-to-back incoming, meaning Cy Youngs. And if you look at the stats on pretty much every stat on the right side is better than the stats on the left side. And the stats on the left side, he won a Cy Young. So if it's pretty much every single pitching stat. So it's kind of hard to argue that. But here's what I was trying to get to, and I pulled this right before we went live. This is from the Detroit Times. The Tigers and Tarek Skubal are reportedly over $250 million apart in negotiations on an extension per John Heyman. And there was a couple other tweets below that said, what are the Tigers offering? 150 and Skubal's asking 400? Quite possibly. So where does this leave the Tigers? And let's see here. I think this kind of sums everything up that's happened in Detroit in the past week. This is from Notorious Detroit. Been that kind of week. Especially after that tweet. John Heyman says that they're $250 million apart. So with that being said, were the Tigers even planning on offering him $250 million? Because if they're $250 million apart, and they're not even offering $250 million, then we have a big problem on our hands. And if that's the case, you got to trade him. You have to trade him. Have to trade him somewhere, get some prospects, and let that other team try to re-sign him. And he did it was him and Paul Skeens did an interview, and I can't remember who the interviewer was, but he asked Skubal, he's like, well, do you like it here in Detroit? And he says, I absolutely do. Then he drops the but there's a business side to this game as well. And with his agent, Scott Boras, I'm actually surprised that anything came out about talking about an extension at this point right now. Because we've still got the CS going on. By the way, Dodgers are up 3-1 in they're going to the top of the eighth. Dodgers leading 2-0 in that series. So Tigers fans, I know it sucks. And fast forward a few years, the Pirates are going to have the same conversation with Paul Skeens. And I always hate when players say, but there's a business side to this. Is there, though? I mean, yes, you should know your worth. I get that. But if it means that much to you to stay in one place, $150 million for 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is, you can make that work. I have a feeling the Players Association would be really, really upset. Really upset because your contract affects, Paul Skeens' contract, all these younger pitchers coming up. You have to try to reset the bar, or at least that's what most people think. It's the same with quarterbacks in the NFL. And speaking of which, the Steelers are up 7-0 on the Bengals, the Icy Hot Bowl, the AARP Bowl. Insert whatever old people joke in there that you want. But but yeah, it seems, and I get it. In this day and age, it costs more to do it, to do anything. I get it. I get it. So I'm not, I just can't really get behind, oh, well, you know, there's a, there's a business side to this. But on the other hand, we see, we see organizations move off players. Nope, no big deal. The only thing with baseball is that contract's guaranteed. So is what it is. So now that my Tigers and Scoobles rant is over, let's talk about the Lions. Let's talk about the Lions. For those of you that don't know, in the first quarter, the Lions are down pretty close to the goal line, run a trick play to where they throw the ball to Jared Goff, and Jared Goff goes into the end zone for a touchdown. Everyone's excited. Everyone's happy. They even put 6 points up on the board. And next thing you know, there's a flag. And the flag comes about 90 seconds after the play had ended. To which, which I on Twitter saw a replay of this, Jared Goff going to the white hat saying, where did that come from? And you see Goff point up like he's asking, did it come from upstairs? And the umpire said yes. And Dan Campbell actually asked, did that come from upstairs, meaning New York? Or was that something you guys huddled up and you guys came to the conclusion that it was a flag? And the umpire said, no, it was us. It was us. So which story is true? Which story is true? So let's get some reaction from Lions faithful here. Oh, before we move off the Tigers too much, this is from Woodward Sports. And again, this is kind of where I was getting at. 99 pitches. This is ridiculous. Woodward Sports Network. AJ Hinch stands by his decision to pull Tarek Skubal in Game 5. He emptied his tank. He gave us everything he could. I believe his last pitch was 101 miles an hour. So Hinch, I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. But let's get some Lions reaction here. This is from Crunch Time Sports. Dan Campbell confirmed this morning on whatever that show is that he was told that the NFL stepped in to review the opening Jared Goff touchdown drive. After the game, the ref said that the NFL did not step in to review the play. NFL ref caught in a lie. Should there be an investigation? Constant and Jensen, sorry. My allergies are killing my eyes tonight. I do apologize. To which this Theven says or replies to TJ Lang, all scoring plays are reviewed. Yes, it actually happens all the time. To which TJ Lang replies, the amount of dumb people saying this, yes, scoring plays are reviewable to see if a team scored, not to scour the field for a potential penalty that occurred. And he's right. He's right. Review is to see if the runner crossed the line, if the receiver caught the ball or didn't cross the line or didn't catch the ball. It's not to pick up on an illegal formation, which is what the flag was thrown for. Now let's take this just a one step further, because it also brings into the team that the Lions were playing in the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. And if you're an NFL fan, it should not surprise you that this team, there are a ton of fans, there are a ton of pundits that think this team gets some rather favorable calls. And they have a very good track record, if you do believe the NFL is rigged, where the NFL has a script per se, and kind of one that's hard to argue. I'm not saying the NFL is rigged. I'm not saying the NFL is scripted. But the more times shit like this happens, the more I start going, well, maybe. I don't know. Let's see here. What is this one? Oh, here we go. And Matt Verdame was replying to someone saying that this was the biggest scandal in 25 years. This phantom flag from New York. He kind of takes the other side of it, saying the biggest scandal in 25 years is a correct call being made to take 4 points off the board in a Week 6 game decided by 13 points. We've really lost the plot. Sports used to be so much more fun because it was in good faith. Now it's this. Genuinely a bummer. Well, Matt, I'm sorry you feel that way. Sports are a lot of fun. But what he's referring to is that was on third down. The ball got moved back. Lions kick a field goal. That's why they said they took 4 points off, not 6. And ultimately, he's right. The Lions did lose by 13. But the one thing that I'll kind of counter with is that nothing that I can say can be proven, but that would change the dynamic of the game. Momentum is a real thing. You can't measure it. There aren't any stats, analytics, anything to back it up. But if you've ever played a sport, you know it's real. You know it's real. So could that have changed the whole dynamic of the game and that be a flip where the Lions would have won by 13? We'll never know. We'll never know. So I get what you're saying. It's just that I think there's a little bit more to it. Excuse me. Okay, that's what we just did. And this is from section 344 Lions. I thought this was kind of funny. The NFL literally full on Buffalo Wild Wings buzzing down to take away a touchdown in an actual NFL game is batshit crazy. This should be a national story this week and something the league has to publicly address. Just an unbelievable bad look that calls into question a lot. Section 344, I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. And you might be saying to yourself, getting back to Matt's point, this is a Week 6 game. Who cares? Who cares? It was one game. It was one game that the team that benefited from the call won by 13 points. Well, here's exactly what I was thinking. This is from Pro Football Talk. The apparent involvement of the league office in the calling of the Jared Goff illegal motion foul potentially opens Pandora's box. For instance, why not do the same thing when the on-field officials miss false starts on tush push or on the tush push? And I just don't want to limit it to that. I mean, what's there to say that New York or whoever was the one buzzing in, an egregious pass interference call that was completely away from the ball that didn't even impact the play, but yet still was there and was missed by the officials. What happens then? So that was kind of my initial thought was, okay, yes, this one, did it really make a difference? Not really. But could it have? Possibly. But it's just the simple fact that if they did it for this, what next? And I think a lot of football fans are really worried about that what next or if next. Is it going to happen again? We don't know. We don't know, but it's happened once. There's already been a precedent set. And especially with all of the inconsistent information that everyone's getting, seems kind of suspect. And it's definitely not an answer that I can provide to you. But I will lose a lot of faith in the NFL if it happens again and continues. Then what are the officials out on the field actually doing? And there's a lot of folks that have said that your lowest paid employees in a multi-billion-dollar industry are affecting your product. And that's very true. It's very true. That's my Detroit rant here, ladies and gentlemen. It's my Detroit rant, plural, I guess you could say. Let's get to some power rankings. Let me remind you of last week's power rankings because there is a big shift in Turbo's power rankings. Last week I had Eagles 5, Bucks 4, Colts 3, Bills 2, Lions 1. There's some definite shakeup this week. Definite shakeup with teams moving out, teams moving in. So let's get to it. Let's get to it. Starting off number 5, Buffalo. Still love him. Still love Josh Allen. Um, they went from 2 to 5 after that, after their loss, and now they sit second behind the Patriots in the AFC East. So definitely needed to could not keep them at number 2 this week. Number 4, we got the Lions again. Heartbreaking loss. Not really a heartbreaking loss because they were never really. It never really seemed like they got any traction against this Chiefs team that was favored by 2.5, I believe, last week. Because that was one of my picks that I gave you, was the easiest money on the board, and lo and behold, did not come to fruition. Did not come to fruition. And where the hell is it? Lions Chiefs. Chiefs were a 2.5-point favorite, and they win by 13. It seems like the Lions, and talked about it last week. You know, it was away from Detroit. It was in an open air stadium, but I said that I didn't think it'd really play a difference, and I really don't think it did. It's just that all of a sudden, Kansas City's defense showed up, and they're like, "We don't care what your offense can do and has done. This is what we're going to do," and that's what Spagnuolo does. But we really haven't seen it a lot yet this year. So, and with this win, we've seen Kansas City move to the betting favorite to win the Super Bowl, as well as Patrick Mahomes to win the I almost said the NL MVP, the the NFL MVP. But I still think if this Lions team plays that Chiefs team in a neutral setting, I still think this Lions team wins at least 6 out of the 10. And I think this Bills team beats the Chiefs as well. So if those two teams beat the Chiefs, I have a feeling that you're not going to see the Chiefs on this on these power rankings. Number 3, Pats. Got to do it. Got to do it. Drake May seems to be legit. Stephon Diggs looks healthy. This defense looks like a Mike Vrabel defense. They're legit. They are legit. So got to give credit where credit is due. Speaking of which, I got the Bucks at number 2. They moved from number 4 to number 2 this week. And speaking credit where credit's due, how in the hell is Baker Mayfield not the betting favorite for the MVP? I know he's not the name Patrick Mahomes, but he's playing lights out 10 times better than Patrick Mahomes. And since the books have moved Mahomes to the front runner, there is no way in hell that I'm even betting on the MVP, just because Baker is playing out of his mind. He's down to like his 5th, 6th, and 7th receiver, and still winning ball games. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Give me him all day. All damn day. And number 1, I got the Colts. I got the Colts. They were at number 3 last week. Danny Dimes and the boys. It just seems like they're getting better and better. They're at 5-1. Steelers are at 4-1, and not even count the Packers 3-1-1 because that's just stupid. Tampa's 5-1. So it's weird to see how that same nucleus last year was absolutely terrible, and you bring in a guy off the heap in Daniel Jones, and this team is flourishing. And I for one think it's awesome. So there's Turbo's power rankings for week 7? Week 7. That is the Turbo's power rankings for week 7 in the NFL. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you disagree, which team needs to be out, which team needs to be in. Let's get to our next segment, the Paycheck and Onions. For those of you that don't know, that are familiar with this segment, I give you 5 picks, 3, do a little sprinkle. Do a little sprinkle, if you will. Then we get a paycheck pick that is, you would bet your whole paycheck because it's almost, in your eyes, a certainty. And then an onions pick is your big balls pick of the week. So this week we're going to look at Falcons at Niners. Falcons are hot, coming off a big win last week. 49ers are broken. They have more injuries than probably any other team yet again. And for those of you that don't know, we're sitting at 10-10. 10-10. Even money. So we're not down money, but we're not making money. 10-10. So yeah, give me Falcons plus the 2.5. Give me those points. We got Pats at Titans. Titans just fired their coach. This team's terrible. If you could, I'd probably take Pats minus 10, just because I think this Patriots team is far superior than this Titans team. But for the sake of this exercise, give me Pats minus 6.5. And then let's go to the college slate. We got Tennessee going to Alabama. Number 7. No, whatever. Shit. I knew I should have pulled that up. Regardless, Alabama hitting on all cylinders. And if you were to ask me who's the best team in the SEC right now, I think I gotta lean towards Alabama, to be honest with you. They have the front runner for the Heisman. This team's playing extremely well, and Tennessee isn't known for winning big games like this. 7.5 is kind of a lot of points, but in Alabama at home, I feel pretty confident in giving the points there. So let's get to the paycheck game. Again, this is the pick I have the most confidence of the weekend. We've got let's see here, Michigan State going to Indiana. And yes, I know 27.5 is a lot of points. But we've seen Indiana put up 60, I think, twice this year. Twice, I think. So I believe I saw Michigan State fired their coach. But this Michigan State team is terrible. We've pumped the brakes on Cignetti enough. If Michigan State goes into Bloomington and pulls this upset off, oh boy. Especially after signing that contract. So this is almost like a have to win. A have to win. So yeah, give me I will give the 27.5. If I could, I'd run that up to about 35. 35. In the onions pick, the ballsiest pick of the week. Ole Miss going to Georgia. Georgia, their defense hasn't been nearly what we've seen Kirby Smart's defense be in the past. This Ole Miss team, I think, is very good. 7.5 is a lot of points here. Yes, I know it's between the hedges. I know it's in Georgia, but I will take Ole Miss and the points. Ole Miss and the points, because very, very rarely will you see me bet against Georgia, especially with this low of a spread, because it seems like every time Georgia plays, it's at least double figures. But 7.5, give me Ole Miss on this one. I think Georgia wins, but I think it's a closer game than what most people think. I mean, we got Dodgers 3, Brewers 1, top of the ninth, with 1 out. 1 out. All right, so talking about Ole Miss, talking about Georgia, Bama, Tennessee. We got another hot college slate for you guys and gals this week. Let's see here. Oddly enough, we have 2 ranked teams playing on Friday. Got Louisville at Miami, and we've got Nebraska at Minnesota. At Nebraska team is favored by 7.5 over the boat rowing Gophers. But the noon slate on Saturday. Number 10 LSU at number 17 Vandy. This is a weird one, 2K Crew, because Vandy is favored by 2.5 against a Brian Kelly's LSU Tigers, and this is weird for a reason. ESPN College Football on Twitter. Vandy opens up as a 2.5 point favorite versus LSU on Saturday. This is the only time in the last 45 years that Vanderbilt has been favored against a ranked team. To me, that's rather insane. And this Vandy team's legit. This Vandy team's legit. I know they lost to Bama, but it was a lot closer than the score would have provided. Two costly turnovers right near the goal line kind of pretty much put that game to bed. But yeah, that's an interesting one, and one that I for sure took a peek at, but didn't. I'm like, yeah, 2.5. Ooh, I don't know. Georgia Tech at Duke. Let's see. Oklahoma at South Carolina. This is a sneaky one. And if I'm not mistaken, Oklahoma has one hell of a schedule. Played Red River last week, lost to Texas. Go into South Carolina, where this South Carolina team is no joke. And did Mateer come back too quick from that injury? Last week it kind of looked like it. So what does he have moving forward? Has his hand or thumb had any time to heal after that game? I don't know, but they're sitting there at 14 against this South Carolina team that I have a feeling is going to be a whole lot more feisty than what a lot of people think. And this Oklahoma team is a 5.5 point favorite, so something to keep an eye on. Ohio State at Wisconsin. This, you rewind a little bit ago when we were talking about Luke Fickell. Could this be his exit game? And OSU is a 25.5 point favorite. So can they pull some magic? We've seen some weird stuff in the Big Ten so far this year. Could it happen again? We shall see. Now, wouldn't it be ironic? James Franklin gets run out of the building after two consecutive losses where they're 20-point favorites. Wisconsin's a 20.5 point dog. If they get just run out, if Ohio State runs them out of their own stadium, is that more? I don't know if that's fuel for the fire for Luke Fickell to be, that highly touted, for a job like that. I don't know. We talked about Michigan State going to Indiana. We got Texas A&M at Arkansas, Ole Miss, Georgia. We talked about. Now we're getting into the 3:30 slate. Texas Tech at Arizona State. And Texas Tech's only favored by 7.5. That's a game to keep an eye on. This Texas Tech team is very, very good. They've spent a lot of money to be this very good, but the proof is in the pudding. They're sitting at number 7 in the country. Should kind of run away with the Big 12, which means they'll get an automatic bid to the playoff. Once this team gets in the playoff, it's going to be interesting to see how far they go, where they go, because for the first time and since I can remember, this Texas Tech team is playing defense. And, anytime you say Texas Tech, you come back to that, Pat Mahomes, Baker Mayfield game where it seemed like the ball never hit the ground. There was like 1 million points and 1 million yards. So, but no, it's a different time in Texas Tech. They actually play defense and play very, very good defense. Oregon at Rutgers. Oregon's a big favorite there. No surprise. Number 21, Texas moved back up into the top 25 after that win against Oklahoma. They're a 13.5 point favorite against Kentucky at Kentucky. Seeing a lot of favorites on the road this week. Tennessee, Bama. Bama's 7.5 point favorite. Number 11, Tennessee. Number 6. Sorry, I said number 7. Number 6, Alabama. Now we're getting into the later games here, and number 20 USC against 13 Notre Dame. This line's from what I saw, this line's been staying kind of steady at 9.5, and I'm kind of shocked because one of the Notre Dame defensive linemen will not be playing. One of the big run stuffers in the middle, so I didn't know if that would change the line at all. Um, Factor in that it's going to be raining pretty much all day Saturday. If that's the case, I think you kind of have to swing the game in favor of Notre Dame just because of their running attack and their their offensive line play. So that gives me a little bit more confidence, but it's it's USC Notre Dame. It's a rivalry game for a reason, and we'll see if Lincoln Riley has a few different things travel wise figured out as compared to the Illinois game. Even though it has since come out that vast majority of the USC team had food poisoning. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but that's one of the reports that I saw. So is that going to that has to be at least a factor where they're now healthy traveling this far, because I have a very good feeling they'll come into one. There's only so many airports around South Bend, so South Bend to Chicago isn't that much farther. So will travel be will it be a concern for this Trojans team on Saturday? We shall see. Number 23, Utah. Number 15, BYU. Utah is favored by 3.5. Number 24, Cincinnati at Oklahoma State, and that'll round out the excuse me, the ranked matchups. But yeah, for those of you college football lovers, Tuesday had a good slate. Believe all the dogs won on that one. Last night, and then tonight, Tulsa at East Carolina. That's over on ESPN. And then we've got four games tomorrow. Louisville at Miami, Nebraska at Minnesota, San Jose State at Utah State, and North Carolina at Cal. So if you want to get your football on tomorrow night, you can start at 7, and the last game is at 10:30. So you got plenty of football tomorrow, and then a full loaded slate on Saturday. So let's talk some NFL. Let's talk some NFL. One thing we will not be talking about is my fantasy team because they are absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. Well, we've got the Rodgers versus Flacco Bowl going on. Pittsburgh's up 10-0 with 10.5 minutes to go in the second quarter. Let's take a look at this slate. We got a game in London. Hate these games. Never watch them. This one actually looks like it's going to be a fairly good game. Rams at Jags, 9:30 a.m. Do we need this many international games? Do we need one a week? Is it necessary? I don't know. Like I said, I would really be interested to see outside of where this one's in England, outside of the country of England, back here in the United States. What are the ratings on that as compared to like a 1 o'clock slate? Because you really don't want to compare them to prime time or anything like that, but just for a normal game, be interested to see. Rams 2.5 point favorite there. Almost took that one until I saw it was in England. I don't bet on England. I don't bet on games like that. You by all means you let your money do what you want to, but I do not. The turf in those stadiums usually are absolutely terrible. Probably not as bad as Pittsburgh, but it is what it is. We got a final over in Dodgers take that one. So let me see if I can flip over to the other game. There we go. Seattle's up 1-0, bottom second. Max Scherzer on the hill. Could this be Max Scherzer's final game in the majors? We shall see. Like continuing on Sunday, we got New Orleans at Chicago. Bears are 4.5-point favorite. This New Orleans team, I can't figure them out. I can't figure them out. Are they good? Are they bad? Are they terrible? What's going on? What's going on? And they are, let's see here. They're 1-6, so they are pretty terrible. But old old Bears teams lose to teams like this. Ben Johnson seems to have the boys at least pointed in a good direction. Seems like they're getting better every week. I'm not saying that Caleb is the next Pat Mahomes. Not going to do that. But it seems like things are trending in the right direction. So as a Bears fan, I'm hoping that that continues and we do not have a hiccup, especially at home against New Orleans. Miami at Cleveland, don't care. New England at Tennessee, we talked about. Vegas at the Chiefs. Chiefs are 12.5-point favorite. This is one of those games that's a lot of points. And traditionally, the Chiefs do not cover a line like that. Do they win? Most of the time, yes. But that's a big line. I believe that's the biggest line of the week. So is it one where you give me Vegas and the points? I think if I do bet on that one, that's where I would be leaning. Philly at Minnesota. I'm really curious to see. Where is JJ McCarthy alive? It was supposed to only be like a 1 or 2 week thing, and he's still out. So really curious as to what's going on there. Philly's a 1.5 favorite in Minnesota. Carolina at the Jets. Don't care. Carolina's a 1.5 favorite. Again, staying away from that one. Giants at the Broncos. Broncos are a 7.5-point favorite here. This is one of those. This is one of those weird games. This is one of the games that I'm going to be tuning in. Not because of this Giants team. I'm not saying is good, but they're not bad. Jackson Dart has a good game, bad game, good game. Scatterbo has come on like gangbusters. The defense is playing better. But this Denver defense is probably the best defense he's played so far. So how will the rookie quarterback and probably his first time playing at altitude like that? So let's see. That's definitely one to keep an eye on. But I think 7.5 is a lot of points. So that might be a giant. I'll take Giants in the points on that one. Colts at Chargers. Chargers are a 1.5 favorite. This is one I'm going to keep an eye on to see if the line moves at all, because a 1.5, that's not a lot of points. It's not a lot of points. It definitely should be a good game. Commies at the Cowboys. Washington as a 1.5 favorite. I really don't know what either team is, what they do. Daniels does some good things with Washington. I believe McLaurin's going to be back this week, so that'll be a big addition back into this offense. The running backs are doing good. The defense is the part that scares me there, and the same thing with Dallas. I believe that I saw CeeDee Lamb was at least working out. I don't know if he'll be playing on Sunday, but if he does, that line might actually move. Even though Dallas's defense is probably worse than Washington's. So what the over-under's at 54.5. Yeah, give me the over on that. Give me the over that all day. We got Packers at Cardinals. Packers big 6.5-point favorite here. Atlanta at San Francisco. The night game we talked about. San Francisco, again, 2.5-point favorite there. And again, we have 2 Monday night games. Can we stop this, please? Stop it. However, it might be a good thing because we have one really good game in Bucks at Lions, where the Lions are going to be wearing the black unis. Love those a lot. And then we have Houston at Seattle. See if this Houston team's for real. They played two pretty much get right games leading up to the bye week. The Seattle team is very good. So maybe a test to see how is this Texas is this Houston team any good? They have all the offensive weapons that they need. They don't have an offensive line. The defense is on the field way too often and put in very bad situations. So is that going to continue? Have they buttoned some things up? Might be an interesting watch, at least for the first half. We'll kind of see where that goes. Seattle's 3.5-point favorite there. 3.5-point favorite there. And we still got Seattle up 1-0. Top of the third. We got Castillo on the mound. And before we get out of here, I want to do a little bit more baseball talk because these two series could not be polar opposites. We have amazing pitching in the National League. Blake Snell, Yamamoto for the Dodgers. And then we have absolute slugfest over in the American League. And the Mariners come out all guns blazing, where I think a lot of us, after that 15-inning ordeal against Detroit, like, man, this team's going to be gassed. Their bullpen is, in shambles. No. The ball was flying out of Toronto. And now Toronto returns the favor in Seattle, and we're now seeing Vlad Jr. wake up. He was 0 for the first two games, went absolutely off last night. And granted, it's the third inning. Castillo's, like I said, Castillo's like the elder statesman of this very young pitching staff. So two vastly different. Even though there have been some home runs on the National League side, it seems like these teams only score unless they're bombs. And we're seeing everyone from Raleigh to Vladdy to George Springer, who's having a resurgent postseason, where even resurgent second half of the season, kind of getting back to the form that I think a lot of Blue Jays fans expected to hit his whole tenure in Toronto. He's getting back to form. I believe he's hit his 22 career home runs, only behind 26 of Manny leads the charge there at 26 or 28. I can't remember what it is. But yep, speaking of which, another 2-run home run. So it's 2-1. Blue Jays over the Mariners. Like I said, this two polar opposites. So which it looks like the Dodgers will move on in the National League. That pitching staff against either one of these offenses is going to be fantastic to watch. Which prevails? We've got some just. I think Vladdy hit almost 800 in the series against the Yankees. Cold start to this series, but I think he went 4 for 4 last night with an intentional walk. So he's getting shit done. And it seems like this whole Seattle team, which if I had it's hard to choose between these two. But if I had a choice, give me Seattle in this one, even though like I said, they're losing right now and they lost last night. But that young pitching staff could stack up to that Dodger pitching staff. Not saying that they're better, but I think that would be a really, really intriguing matchup to watch. So just if you like pitching, watch the NL side. If you like bombs and hitting, watch the AL side. Something for everybody. Well, 2K Crew, I'll get you out of here on that. Everyone have a great week. And as always, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.